Chapter 1. The God who drew the blueprint long before the first pyramid rose from the sand, before Babylon carved its name into history. The people of ancient Sumer told stories about a god who came from the water. They called him Enki, Lord of the earth, keeper of the deep, the patient architect of wisdom. And unlike the thunderous sky gods who demanded worship and fear, Enki was something stranger. He was a designer, a planner, a god who, according to the Cuneiform tablets, sat down and engineered the very template of humankind. To understand why this matters, we have to understand where these stories come from. They were not whispered around campfires and lost to time. They were pressed into wet clay with a reed stylus, baked hard, and buried beneath the ruins of cities like Eridu and Nippur. Thousands of these tablets survive today, sitting in museum drawers in London, Berlin, and Baghdad. And among the hymns to harvests and records of grain, scholars found something far more unsettling. Detailed accounts of Enki shaping the first humans, mixing clay with the essence of the gods, and breathing into that mixture a kind of pattern, a blueprint. The texts describe this not as magic, but as a process. Enki works alongside a mother goddess. There are trials, there are failures, early humans who come out malformed, incomplete, wrong, and then, after careful adjustment, there is success. To a modern reader, it reads less like mythology and more like a laboratory notebook. That parallel is exactly what has drawn researchers, theorists, and dreamers back to these tablets again and again. But Enki's work did not stop with the design of humanity. The Sumerians believed he built things, vast, hidden things. Beneath the waters of the Persian Gulf, they said, he constructed the Abzu, a facility of fresh water sealed deep below the surface of the earth. It was his domain, his sanctuary, and his workshop. From this place flowed all wisdom, all the secret knowledge that separated the gods from the mortals who served them. And at the heart of it lay a structure with a name that has puzzled translators for over a century, the E-engura, the house of the deep waters, a vault, a repository, the place where, the tablets insist, Enki stored knowledge too dangerous to be shared freely with mankind. What kind of knowledge? That is the question that pulls us forward into this story. Because the texts do not speak vaguely. They hint at specifics, formulas, measurements, records of living things, and maps of the heavens. They describe a hidden archive of forbidden information, locked away by the God of wisdom himself. For thousands of years, those words were just words. Poetry, perhaps. Religious metaphor. But in the pages ahead, we are going to take them seriously and ask whether the blueprint Enki drew and the vault he sealed were ever meant to be found at all. Chapter 2. What the tablets say was inside. If Enki built a vault, the obvious question is the one the Sumerians themselves seemed obsessed with. What did he put inside it? And here, the tablets become strangely specific. They do not simply say Enki hoarded wisdom. They break that wisdom into categories, almost like an inventory. The first category is mathematical. The texts speak of the me, a difficult word that scholars translate as divine decrees, but which functions more like a set of operating instructions for civilization itself. Among them are measures, proportions, and the rules of counting. The Sumerians gave us the base 60 system that still governs our clocks and our circles. 60 seconds, 60 minutes, 360 degrees. They credited the origin of such ordered knowledge to the gods and to Enki above all. In the imagination of these stories, the vault held the raw mathematics of reality, the formulas that let you build a city, divert a river, or plot the turning of the year. The second category is biological. Remember, this is the God who designed humanity. The tablets describe Enki as the keeper of the patterns of living things, not just people, but the shapes and natures of every creature. He is the one who knows how life is assembled, how the clay is mixed, how the breath is given. Theorists who read these passages today cannot help but hear an echo of something modern, a record of life's design, stored and protected, a library of living blueprints, sealed beneath the water, away from hands that might misuse it. The third category is astronomical. The Sumerians were watchers of the sky long before telescopes existed. They tracked the planets, named the constellations, and built their calendar on the movements of the heavens. And the tablets tie this knowledge to Enki's domain as well: coordinates, positions, the moving of the stars. In the logic of the texts, the vault did not only look inward at the human body and the rules of number, it looked outward, charting the cosmos itself. Put these three together: mathematics, biology, astronomy, and something remarkable emerges. The Sumerians were not describing a treasure chest of gold. They were describing an archive of knowledge that mirrors the foundations of modern science, the tools to measure, the code of life, the map of the sky. 3 pillars, locked in one hidden place. Why hide such things? The tablets are clear on this point. This was knowledge too powerful to be given freely. In one famous story, Enki's secrets are stolen, carried off by a daring goddess, who tricks him while he is drunk, smuggling the divine decrees out of his grasp. The very existence of that tale tells us how the Sumerians thought about this information. It was guarded, it was coveted, and it was, by design, kept out of reach. So if the contents were real, where exactly was the vault that held them? Chapter 3. The Search for the House of the Deep. So we arrive at the final question, the one that has lured archaeologists, fringe theorists, and the merely curious toward the muddy edge of the Persian Gulf. If Enki's vault was real, where on this earth would we begin to dig? The tablets give us a starting point, and it is a precise one. They name a city, Eridu. In Sumerian belief, Eridu was the first city, the oldest place on the planet, the spot where civilization itself was switched on. And at its center stood the Temple of Enki, built directly above the waters he was said to command. Archaeologists have found Eridu. It is not a myth. It sits in southern Iraq, near the modern town of Abu Shahrain. And when excavators dug into its great mound, they uncovered something extraordinary. 18 temples, stacked one on top of the other, each rebuilt on the ruins of the last, stretching back nearly 7,000 years. Layer after layer, the people of Eridu raised a shrine on the exact same ground, as if the location itself held a memory they could not abandon. At the very bottom, in the oldest level, sat a humble single room with an altar and an offering table. Above it, the temples grew grander, until they became the towering ziggurats we associate with Mesopotamia. The continuity is staggering. For thousands of years, something told these people that this precise patch of earth mattered more than any other. But here is where the trail goes cold and where honesty matters. No excavation at Eridu has ever uncovered a sealed vault of mathematical formulas, biological records, or star charts. There is no hidden chamber of forbidden knowledge waiting beneath the sand. What we have found are temples, altars, pottery, and the layered devotion of a vanished people. The Abzu, the tablets describe a freshwater facility deep beneath the Gulf, remains exactly where it has always been, in the words of the texts themselves, and yet the geography is suggestive. In the ancient past, the Persian Gulf was dry land, a fertile valley fed by rivers, before rising seas swallowed it at the end of the last ice age. Whole landscapes that humans once walked are now drowned beneath the water, the very water where the Sumerians placed Enki's hidden domain. Is it possible that some folk memory of a lost, flooded world worked its way into these stories? That is a question science can ask, even if it cannot yet answer. So we're left holding two truths at once. The vault, as a literal archive of secrets, has never been found, but the impulse behind it, the idea that knowledge is sacred, dangerous, and worth protecting, is as old as the first city ever built. Perhaps that is Enki's real blueprint. Not a chamber in the earth, but the conviction that wisdom itself is something worth hiding, worth seeking, and worth remembering. And that conviction, unlike the Abzu, is something we can still hold in our hands.